Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot, and today we're getting right into the December reading for the sign of Sagittarius. All right, Sagittarius, you're up next because we're very quickly coming into your season. And I want to take a look ahead and see what December holds for us. I'm doing these readings a little earlier than I normally would because I feel like it might be good for us to see what lies ahead, what could possibly be lying ahead. And if you're resonating with this message, we want to take heed of any kind of warning signs or admonishments now before we're actually in December and the wheels have been put in motion towards a certain outcome, right? So let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to go and pull out your Celtic cross spread, excuse me. And we're going to do a full Celtic cross spread for you, Sagittarius, and this is going to be for December. Show me. We want a clear message for our lovely Sagittarius. Anyone with a sun, moon, rising, Venus, or Mars in Sagittarius may resonate with this reading. And let's get right into it. Those of you who are regulars on my channel, you know that I'm a Sagittarius myself with a moon in Leo, and so I do resonate with these readings. Let's get out your card. Wow. High Priestess right at the center, covered by Queen of Cups. Okay. You come out this month, your focus is a lot of arguing and bickering. Five of Wands. In the back of your mind, you have moon energy. Coming into December with a Four of Swords and coming out of it with a King of Wands. You enter this month with a feeling of Six of Cups and you're met with a King of Swords. Your hopes and dreams and your fears and your outcome. Wow. All right, Sagittarius, at the bottom, we have Ten of Swords. All right. So let's get right into it. Sagittarius. What can I say? This is growing pains, right? I think this is growing pains right away. I'm going to tell you this is for Sagittarius who knows the writing is on the wall. You are trying your best in a particular love connection, but you already know what this love connection is all about. And I think in the back of your mind, you do already know that this may not be the right one for you. But let's get right into it, Sagittarius. Okay, we have right at the center, we have a very powerful High Priestess covered with the Queen of Cups. So right now, you are resonating with a high level of intuition in the sense that you already know what's going on in a particular love connection, Sagittarius. You don't really need to look any further. You know in your heart of hearts what the essence is, what the nature of this connection is, and whether or not it's going to work for you. But you're covered with a Queen of Cups, which is someone who, this feeling of really, really desperately wanting to make it work. You really want to have this cup of love with this person. I think for you, it looks good on paper, or it's like this kind of connection that you really, in your head and in your heart, you know it could be a great connection, but your inner voice, your intuition, your spirit is telling you no. You know, your spirit is telling you probably not. And I'll tell you, and I'm saying no because I'm reading ahead, right? But whatever the case may be for you, your spirit is telling you what's really going on here. Even though your true desire to exchange your cup of love with someone is so strong. These are both very, very strong cards. High Priestess and Queen of Cups in terms of relationships and in terms of how you factor into your relationships, making the right decisions, right? Now, Five of Wands is your focus and your unconscious is moon energy. So in the front of your mind, there's a lot of arguing and bickering that's been going on, Sagittarius, and a lot of competitiveness, a lot of egos in this connection, and you're really just not feeling it. In the back of your mind, you have moon energy, and I think part of you is thinking, is this a test? Am I being tested? You know, because moon can be a testing phase. Also, it can be a phase also of fear, of unsure, you know, just being unsure about your emotions and feeling as though you are being tested in terms of your strength, right? Your strength is being tested, your commitment is being tested, your ability to remain in a relationship even though you don't know what's going to happen. And right now it's quite there's a lot of anxiety associated with it. Are you able to carry on? Are you able to be brave and kind of go through these dark periods, right? Knowing that not all relationships are great, and then sometimes things happen and we just don't know where these energies are coming from. The moon can also indicate hidden information or feelings that are being hidden from us, or you know, some side of a relationship or some side of someone's feelings. They're not being really 100% with us. And so this is another reason why there's a lot of anxiety and confusion right now. A feeling of, you know, you feel like you should be in love, but you're not in love. Or you're in love with someone that you know damn well you shouldn't be in love with. There's just something very quite disjointed here. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Sagittarius, on the surface of it, you're just miserable with all this fighting and arguing. You know, you're not one of these people who really likes to fight and argue, despite a lot of, opinions to the contrary. Yes, Sagittarius can really give it to you with their words and their mouth in terms of hitting hard, but it's not something that Sagittarius generally enjoy. They don't enjoy being in argumentative sort of scenarios or dynamics, and certainly not with a lover. And so it does feel very much like at this time you're either being tested in a way to say, you know, do you want this so bad that you're willing to put up with all of this arguing? Or are you willing to sort of go through a dark period, or are you willing to sort of perhaps not be with this person for the sake of allowing a better connection to come in? This is all really about you searching your feelings, Sagittarius, and this testing area in terms of you really finding out for yourself what ultimately are you willing to put up with and what aren't you willing to put up with. Remember, the moon is 18, but the first 8 is Leo. And Leo talks about boundaries and borders, putting boundaries in place with people, enforcing them, playing to your strengths. When we move up to the next 8, which is the moon, it's the same type of thing in a way, but it's more of an internal sort of battle where we need to really find out internally what are our limits, you know? What is my limit? What am I really willing to put up with in this relationship, right? And the way to find that out is to truly really go inside and figure out who you really are. And sometimes that can be scary, you know, because sometimes we find out things about ourselves and desires about ourselves that we're not really happy about. And these are the explanations for why we put up with certain things in our lives. But this is all sort of an exploratory exercise into a realm that's within us, and into an area within us that we oftentimes, a lot of us find it very difficult to search through those feelings or to go that deeply, because what we find can sometimes be really painful or upsetting or disappointing. You know, it's facing up to who you are and facing up to your motivations as well. And so all of this right now for you, Sagittarius, this is a real period of you deciding, are you willing to put up with toxic energy, arguing and bickering? Are you willing to go against your intuition, which is telling you very strongly that this may not be the connection for you, for the sake of wanting to be with someone, or for the sake of not wanting to hurt somebody's feelings also? The Queen of Cups doesn't like to hurt anyone's feelings, and sometimes this can even translate into like putting up with a relationship because you feel sorry for them, or you're unwilling to hurt them by leaving them. Now you come into this period, Sagittarius, with the 4 of Swords, and you come out of it with a King of Wands. And so you're trying to be very strategic, right? You are being very careful with your words, because this is a scenario, I feel really strongly, Sagittarius, that this is a scenario where you kind of know the writing on the wall, but you don't want to ruin something with somebody by being too hasty, by making a knee-jerk decision. You're not sure about your feelings. You know damn well that you're sick of all the arguing and the bickering. You know you really wish to have a good relationship and be able to exchange love and expressions of love with this person, but something just isn't right. So you're being very, very strategic and careful about your next move, right? You're not doing your, trademark lashing out and saying hurtful things, which we know Sagittarius can be guilty of. I'm a Sagittarius with a Taurus rising. You can only imagine what I'm like when I get angry. But you're not doing this now, Sagittarius, and you're being very, very cautious because you don't want to ruin the stability of something just by jumping the gun, because you're still quite unsure in the back of your mind about how you truly feel. Part of you is telling you that you don't want this, and part of you is telling you that you do. But you do come out of this period with a King of Wands, and the King of Wands really knows he's kind of a leader, right? And so you come out of this period being really very much I'm going to say sort of in charge of the future of your relationship, or how you want this to play out, right? The King of Wands is very sort of like, he knows what he wants, but he's also a leader. He sets an example. I almost want to say for some of you, Sagittarius, this is also a case of you kind of setting an example or setting a precedent for yourself in a way. It's like saying, look, maybe in the past I used to put up with this, but I don't anymore. And, this is not the way I'm going to go anymore, right? I'm going to make a definitive decision that's good for me and good for my future. Almost in a way of setting an example. If you're a single mom or single father and you're in a screwed up relationship, it's almost like, you're going to listen to your high priestess, and once you get through this December period and everything plays out, you very strongly move ahead with the way you feel you're supposed to go. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't look back anymore. You know what the right decision is. If the right decision is to leave this relationship, you leave it. You leave it strong, and you leave it without looking back. Or if the right decision is to stay and to work at it, you do that as well. But whatever the case may be, you leave the December period and this connection very, very confident and sure about what the next step is, right? And in control, not reacting necessarily to others. King of Wands also forges a very individual path, and it could very well be that you decide to, it could be that you take this road down an unconventional path, in the sense that you say to yourself, okay, well, maybe this relationship isn't working this way, but it's going to work that way. Like, for instance, you're with somebody and you're committed and you're in a monogamous relationship, but all of the commitment and the monogamy and the pressure and the responsibility is imploding the relationship, and you decide now to sort of change the dynamic and say, look, we still love each other, we care for each other, but something about this dynamic isn't working out. Let's open up the relationship. I still want to see you, but I want to be able to see other people. Or, let's see each other, but let's not live together because we realize we can't live together. You know what I mean? I mean, in that way, it can also be that you take charge of this relationship and send it down a different path than your relationships normally have gone. Because the King of Wands is also somebody who really sets a very unique tone, a very quirky, unique, individual, creative tone for himself. Nobody is like him. And in this way, he can be very eccentric sometimes, or he can choose solutions to problems that nobody else would have thought of, right? And so it could be in that way that you round off this December period with this connection in a way of taking it down a new road that may be more conducive to you guys working together. Because right now, this energy, this bickering and arguing energy, is just not working for you. Now, you enter this month, and you, with a Six of Cups, you're met with a King of Swords. So you enter this month with a feeling of wanting to really have harmony in this relationship. You do desire this to work out. But you're met with a King of Swords, and the King of Swords is somebody who's just very dominant. They're very stuck in their ways. They can be. And, it has to be their way. The King of Swords is the great rule maker and the disciplinarian. And this is somebody who's very dominant and just wants things to be the way they want them to be. And this could be one of the reasons why you're having so much difficulty with this, because for a lot of you Sagittarius, you're dealing with somebody whose temperament is not the type of temperament you can deal with. Because Sagittarius, you're a fire sign, but you're also very you're able to compromise. You're able to sort of, see the other side. Sagittarius are very quick to have open relationships because they don't like to be tied down, and they don't like this very rigid sense of rules, right? But the person you're dealing with, that they're kind of like that. And that's part of the essence of why in the back of your head, I believe that some of you, that this connection isn't going to work out. Because you just can't keep putting up with their rigidity. They're just too sort of, you know, they're just too to the letter of the law, and sort of like, this is how things have to be, you know, and you're just trying to have a contented, affectionate time, and they're really caught up in sort of a lot of mental issues, being right, because King of Swords energy, when it is a little bit out of balance, this is the person who's very self-centered, very egotistical, can't really see other people's points of view, right? This can be a really sort of like difficult person to deal with if this energy is out of balance, you know, and it could very well be that that's the type of person you're dealing with, right? Now, your hopes and dreams and your fears are Queen of Wands. And a Queen of Wands, interestingly enough, she is the one who really can face the worst of life's ups and downs. She's the one who comes through when there's like, you know, when you're going through a situation, what we call baptism by fire, when you're thrown in the deep end of a situation, you have to figure it out. It's the Queen of Wands who answers to that. Right, she's the one who shows up for those times, because she's the strongest queen for facing difficulty. She's the strongest queen for maintaining your spiritual center in the face of trials and tribulations and hardships, right? She is the strongest queen for taking difficult times and experiences and transmuting them so that she can learn and resonate higher. She's very, very wise, and she's available to help others who are on the path and who are seeking answers to how to be strong enough to face life's troubles. She's able to give that advice, much more so than a high priestess, who is very cagey and reserved and unwilling to really give anything up at all. The Queen of Wands is indeed, but in that same way, you also fear this. And I think for some of you Sagittarius, you fear the fact that you will always have to be the one dealing with the difficulties. You'll always have to be the one, you know, that things are always going to be difficult, that things are always going to be you know, compromising for them, you know, being understanding and saying, okay, well, I understand that, you know, these are some of the problems they have, but I love them and I'm willing to work at, you know, this ability to be so emotionally and spiritually and mentally strong that the Queen of Wands is. It's at the same time that you desire for once to be the one that, for somebody else to be that one, and for you to not always have to be carrying the backbone of the relationship, or for you to have to be making the decisions about a relationship because you're dealing with somebody who's dysfunctional, or you're dealing with somebody who's not bringing enough to the table, right? I think Sagittarius do feel rather we can a lot of times resonate with that energy of feeling like it's always down to us to fix shit. It seems like nobody else can get their shit together to fix it, or nobody else can get their shit together to sort of like try to make an effort. It always can oftentimes feel like it falls on a Sagittarius shoulders. A lot of times this is simply because the Sagittarius has that ability. This is what you're skilled at. And so, of course, it's who you draw in. And let me not get off topic, but still, this is a position where you, yes, you hope to be strong enough to get through this, but you also dread the fact that you're going to have to be strong enough to get through yet another difficult, toxic situation. The month ends out with a Three of Swords, and the Three of Swords is kind of like the reason I've been looking at this card the whole time, in a sense that you know, why I feel like this is a case of you not wanting a relationship and knowing that it's not going to work out, because Three of Swords reminds us, it shows us that yes, indeed, this is not going to work out. You know, the communication in this relationship is always going to hurt you. Three of Swords does, oftentimes people interpret this as third-party energy, but three is bonding and loyalty and commitment in a lot of ways, but certainly bonding, loyalty, and patience. And here we see that the communication you have with somebody is always hurting you. You know, it's the way they talk to you. It's the way they act. It's the way they treat you that hurts you. Of course, if somebody cheats on you, that's them treating you like a piece of shit. And so that's a gross example, like a gross simplified example of Three of Swords. But Three of Swords, the heartache is really because the treatment that you're getting, or the language that somebody is using, the way that somebody is talking to you is hurtful. It's disrespectful and it's hurtful, and you realize that this is not going to be a positive outcome. This is not going to be the type of relationship that you can carry on this type of communication with. And I feel very strongly that, you know, the high priestess, your high priestess within you, Sagittarius, already knows that this is going to happen, yet you try your best. You are trying. And I think that it is there's a little bit sadness here, because if this person could just, like, you know, get over themselves, if they could just mature, if they could just not be so rigid as they are here with this King of Swords, then there possibly would be an opportunity to move forward, because you really, really do wish you could exchange your cup of love with them. But it's just a case of they just get on your nerves so badly. At the bottom of the deck, we do have Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords talks about the end of a long struggle. And so for a lot of you, Sagittarius, this could also be the end of a relationship that has been like this for quite some time, and now you're just done and you're ready to put it behind you. You know, Ten of Swords talks about the end of a period of time in your life, or a stage in your life where it has been a constant knock to your self-esteem, a constant knock to your ego, and you're finally done with it. Having been in this, if you've been in this connection for a long enough time, it can really feel, certainly if you're dealing with somebody who is always arguing with you, always the person that's right, and every time if they always have to be right, then every argument, you know, it's like you always the bad guy, or if they apologize, they don't really mean it. Whatever the case may be, these events over a period of time, they can really be an effect on your ego and your self-esteem. And so for some of you, you've had enough of it. You've had enough of this relationship and this individual just stomping on your self-esteem until nothing's left. And so now you're just ready for it to be behind you. And like I say, the writing is on the wall, and the high priestess comes in to let you know that you already know what needs to be done. It's going to be difficult. It's another reason the Queen of Wands comes in, because the Queen of Wands is very determined and confident. And ending this relationship will require her strength too. If the writing is on the wall and you know you're done with this relationship, truly done with this relationship, and you're ready to move forward in your own very individual way, taking back control of your life in a lot of ways, Sagittarius, the Queen of Wands is the one who's going to have to show up also to get you through that, because it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to maintain your position and your strength and your sort of confidence in yourself to get through this, and not to falter and fall right back into this kind of like repetitive behavior with this person that is quite toxic, right? If this person resonates with toxic King of Swords energy, they're not going to change. You know, there's not much that's going to change unless they have a full epiphany, or unless they're going through their own sort of like transformation. All right, Thoth deck, we're going to pull some clarifiers, Sagittarius. Show me December. We want to get some deeper cards here, just to know what this whole scenario is really about. Just go another level down. So, show me. Four of Swords, there's your truce. Ten of Wands, there's your Hierophant. And there's your Queen of Discs. Interesting. Bottom of the deck, we have Scorpio, and Aquarius with the star. I said Scorpio, actually, because I was thinking about Scorpio, because Hierophant and Queen of Discs both came out for the previous Scorpio reading. All right, so let's clarify. Yeah, this is all about you really manifesting your true dreams and objectives. And this relationship is not representative of really the type that you want. It's not really a representation of the dream relationship that you have in mind. And so this is one of the main reasons why you know you need to get out of it. Because Sagittarius, things are happening in your life now. You're bringing in so much good abundance and rewards for all your hard work that you're not willing to settle for less. You're just not willing to settle for less. You want your dream relationship, and if this is not your dream relationship, you will have the strength to leave it behind, because you know you need to leave it behind to let the true man or woman of your dreams come in. Five of Wands is covered by Four of Swords. So there's your Four of Swords. And again, it's the bickering and the arguing. You have had enough. You call a truce and you pull back. And again, you're trying to decide how to move forward with the least amount of arguing. You're just done with it. Right? And I think for some of you, Four of Swords definitely talks about a feeling of, you know, being thankful that this whole scenario or this whole dynamic hasn't made a worse sort of impact on you than it has. Four of Swords talks about being grateful to to pull back from the battlefield and live to fight the next day. So we're also talking about, not only are you trying to be strategic, but I think for some of you, you're trying to get out of this toxic relationship before it has an effect on you or before it begins to really damage you. Right? You want to come out of it before this gets worse and before you're a fucking crying emotional mess. Because this is the type of dynamic that can slowly stomp your self-esteem down into the ground. And 2 years later, you wake up, you're an emotional mental wreck and you have no idea why. Why? Because you allowed this person to continue to dominate you, talk to you any kind of way they want to talk to you, argue with you. And this is how we get our self-esteem crushed. So the moon comes in with that 10 of wands. And again, your feelings are, you're feeling very confused about which way to move forward because you know that this oppressive feeling is not a good feeling. 10 of wands talks about oppression and things getting so heavy that you can't carry them anymore. And you know that certain energies in this relationship, certain dynamics and feelings in this relationship have become very, very oppressive. Very oppressive. And and I think the reason why this comes out over the moon is that part of you probably, Sagittarius, was thinking, this is a perfect relationship. So why do I feel like such a piece of shit? Why do I feel so bad? And I think this is part of the essence of that moon energy, moon showing up in your unconscious position, because you're trying to understand why you feel so much anxiety and fear. Even though on the surface of it, you love them and you want to exchange this cup of love with them. And on the surface of it, you feel like you're with your perfect partner, but you feel so bad and they make you feel bad about yourself. And that's the source of a lot of confusion with this moon. And I think the testing phase here will also be to know when to leave a connection because you realize it's just not good for you, rather than sticking in it because you think it should work out. Hierophant comes in over that 4 of swords and commitment, right? So Hierophant talks about commitment to a higher sort of calling, a commitment to a higher self for you, a higher path. In a lot of ways, a path that is in line with your spiritual and moral center. Here, commitment, the Hierophant, which does talk about commitment, or even a wise teacher who may come into your life. Oftentimes that can happen as well with the Hierophant. But here we're talking, I think, very much about you realizing that that this relationship, that what is more important to you is that making a commitment to who you are, not compromising who you are, right? This is going to help you to make the right decisions. Remember, I said 4 of Swords talks about you really wanting to make the right decisions and not make a situation go from bad to worse. If you are aware of your commitment to your moral center and your spiritual center, if you use that, I want to say that guide, right? That compass, right? That internal compass for yourself about what you feel is right for you and what you aligns with you spiritually, right? You will make the right decision, right? You have to have a commitment to yourself and your own happiness, right? If you commit to your own happiness and you are committed to sort of your moral center and who you are, in a sense that you're not going to allow this relationship or this person to bring you down to their level or to bring you to a petty level. If you remain true to this center, then you will know exactly the right steps to make. And this feeling of strategy here with the 4 of Swords will be a lot easier. Right? You come out of this month Queen of Discs, and so King of Wands and Queen of Discs, not only do you come out of this month taking charge in your relationships in the sense that you are the king, you are in charge of how your relationships go, and you are going to be the one to set the tone, but you also end this month off with Queen of Discs in the sense that you are resonating very high with a lot of abundance and sort of rewards and I want to say accomplishment coming in. And a part of you that's going to allow you to move forward so strongly with this King of Wands is this huge accomplishment that starts to come in, these huge rewards that start to come in the area of money and business and career. And a lot of that is going to give you sort of the strength to move away from the situation or move on from the situation, and not only give you the strength to move on, but give you the confidence and the ability to set the tone for your relationships going forward. you know, to demand that this is what I want for my relationships, you know, and I'm not going to just keep putting up with what everybody else wants. This is what I want. You really resonate up to a really high level of authority in your life because you start to get status and abundance that comes in that allows you to do that. And all of this kind of reaffirms that you are at the helm of your life ship, whether it's regarding abundance, career, or finance, or whether it's regarding the nature of your relationships and the things that you're passionate about that are important to you. All right, Sagittarius, I'm going to call it. This is your reading for December. I hope it resonated with you. Please like, subscribe, and share if it did. But for right now, I'm just going to say, Sagittarius, you have a wonderful, wonderful December, and I'll see you mid-December for the mid-month love check-in. Bye-bye now.